Hello once again, folks. This is Customizing the Clone Wars. This is episode 28, and I am your host, as always, Peak Obi-Wan. Along with me, my co-host, Darth Daddy. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing okay. This is episode 28 of Customizing the Clone Wars. Tonight we're going to be covering Senate Murders from Season 2.
Yeah, we're towards the end of Season 2, Rise of the Bounty Hunters. If you haven't seen our show, and this is the first one that you're seeing, go back, because this is one of the Senate episodes. Not as exciting, but still pretty cool. There's a lot of neat things going on in this episode. And what we do here at our show, we talk about the Clone Wars because we are huge fans, and along the way we decided that we want to definitely show some of our custom artwork off, right? We want to show some of the different characters that we missed in the collection, right? In the toy line.
Yeah, there are a lot of characters that I know I favored, and Hasbro did an incredibly cool job putting out hundreds of figures from that action figure line.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of characters I would have liked to have seen and have standing along Hasbro's figures. And me and Chad have been making those for a number of years now, and we're just paying tribute to each one of these episodes and showing the figures that came from them. And we have figures from Senate Murders, so it's a cool thing that you guys tuned in to check them out.
Yeah, very cool. This episode, the original air date was March 19th of 2010. So the custom that I have for us tonight, he was made back in 2010. So quite a long time ago, when I was doing what I referred to as hard sculpting. I wasn't actually going in and using Procreate or one of the specific kind of epoxies that we choose to sculpt with, right? So once I get to it, I'll explain why he looks the way he does. So let's get into it, shall we? You still there?
Oh yeah. We're doing fortune cookie.
No, actually, I will read from the description. Yeah, I usually go with the episode guide. Now, we are not doing this in order. We're doing it based on how they came out in the series. Man, I really wish that they came out in order at some point, or they come back and they make a full video section of them in order. And I'll tell you why later on in this episode. But here is Senate Murders. It says Padme and her allies try to persuade the Senate to cut military spending in a bid to end the war. This action pits them against the Republic's pro-military faction, who accuses them of being unpatriotic. Things take a dark turn when one of Padme's allies is murdered. She and Senator Bail Organa set out to find out who killed Senator Onda Condafar. Those are always worded a little bit funny, but that is Senate Murders, and we will jump right into it. Boom. And it says, searching for the truth is easy. Accepting the truth is hard. What do you think about that?
There's definitely a lot of information out there. Sift through it. Even if you come across the right answers, are you even sure you'll know that they were the right answers?
Yeah. I heard something really interesting. I know this is, we don't really want to talk about politics in the modern world right now because it's just crazy what's going on. But we are talking about the politics of Star Wars, of course.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, they have to go into kind of, go away from the war. I guess we have to get some elements of Padme in this also to make her a little bit more interesting. And it's cool that Bail Organa's in here and everything. We get to see a couple more the senators doing what they do. I believe Mon Mothma plays a role in this one.
Yeah, you kind of learn who Padme's friends are, and it seems more fitting that Bail Organa is the one who gets Princess Leia. They kind of establish a stronger relationship throughout the series and the show, which I thought was great to see.
Yeah, that is cool that they do have a connection, that they've always kind of put them with each other. And even in episode 1, you always thought that, well, I didn't always think it, but there was always like somebody in the Senate that was going to kind of be close to her, and it was cool that it turned out to be Bail in the end. He ended up taking her kid and everything. Spoiler alert, right? Yeah, but this episode starts, basically they're talking about the war, and then they talk about how a whole new thing, or a whole other war is going on in this Senate because they have the politics. And we know in the dark times in Star Wars that they get rid of the Senate because it doesn't function. And we're going to have a lot of Easter eggs in this episode, so I didn't go around and circle them. Right away, we get a really cool image. If you're seeing that there, I was blown away when I first saw this because it's the Phase 2 version of the Clone Trooper. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was blown away, man. I loved it because
alien all the way to the left, the part of the Separatist Council that they never made into an action figure.
I don't know if they actually made that guy, did they?
No, they never did. It's like one of the ones that come up a lot when the Fan Choice Award.
Yeah. Well, they ended up using him for the Senate in this one, and these are kind of the warmongers, kind of the people who are pro the war. It's good for business, right?
Oh yeah, it's profit. It's money driven. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was actually the episode 2 where I first heard Kaminoan because I used to pronounce it Kaminen. But we actually hear Kaminoan, and that's actually pretty cool. So as we move on, I thought it was awesome that we saw that right away. And it's funny, we didn't get it until season 4, right? Or was it season 5? That we finally got that Phase 2 clone.
It was late in the game that we got the actual action figure.
Yeah, but when was it in the seasons? Was it in season 4? I think that we first see them start to appear in that different armor. I think it was. I think it was because it was the Wolf Pack, right? The Wolf Pack were the first ones to appear in that outfit.
Okay.
I loved it. I loved seeing that. It was kind of a little Easter egg I thought I'd share. So we move on and we realize that this has a lot to do with Onde Far. And we actually showed a custom of Onde Far from Luke Skywalker. He did a great custom of that character, wearing his hammer pants and his Monkey Man coat, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Since I have that Monkey Man, one day I would like to try it. I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon. Now that we passed this episode.
Yeah, I really want to get him get him done at some point myself. I did do the same thing. I bought the Monkey Man coat or a second Monkey Man. This is an Indiana Jones figure. If you're not sure who the Monkey Man is, but his coat's perfect. Basically, it's the same coat, but you just have to trim it down a little bit on the bottom. So they're discussing how he's kind of the leader of this movement to kind of get this war kind of finished, or kind of speed it along to kind of end the war. They're going to try to end it with politics, right?
Yeah, diplomacy.
Yeah. And so Padme gives a speech, and it was moving. It was she thought she did some good, yet she wasn't sure. But here's another Easter egg for you. Check out this pod right here. I don't know if you're seeing that there. I had to lighten it up a little bit. There's the Toydarians. They're in the Senate now. Remember how they were neutral?
Yep.
That's pretty cool. I thought that
is nice.
Yeah. And so we meet our first warmonger, and this is Senator DG. He's like one part Dracula and one part like the lost member of Kiss. You know, he looks like Ace Frehley or something. His outfit does anyway, right? He's got these big moon boots on, and I don't really have a good shot of him right now, unfortunately. But his outfit is just
he has a cool outfit.
Yeah, it's just
like
out of it.
Years horror period.
Yeah, and he just basically says, you know, you're saying those kind of things. You're basically going to be looked at as maybe unpatriotic or maybe even a separatist. You know, I think Halle Bertoni, which is the representative from Camino, she actually says that as well. You know, they're just not real happy with the way these senators are trying to just slink back and not really get into this war because they're not making any money. These people are the ones that have a lot to gain from the war. So,
yeah, if Camino gets more contracts, make more clones, that's profit for them.
Right.
The war goes, the more money they make.
Yeah, I hear you. So after Padme speaks, they toast in their little private party, and all of a sudden, Anakandafar says, I'm having a heart attack. He falls over. He's dead. Something happens to him. And they just thought it was ultimately they thought it was from the stress of what's going on currently. So this was really weird. Like right away, they have a funeral for him or a sending off party right on one of those, what are those called? Kind of a floating.
Oh, the landing pads?
Yeah, floating landing pad. I thought that was interesting because so many interesting things have happened on those landing pads. You know, George Lucas was always really hip on those things where you just land on this landing pad and then
right with Django and Obi-Wan when the assassination attempt on Padme.
Yeah, there's always these off landing pads where private functions are going on, right? Let's do a fundraiser and let's just do it right on the landing pad. It's perfect. just out in the middle of the city. I always thought, but so they have a ceremony for him, and here is Taquito. Well, no, his name is Salud from Rhodia, and he's actually speaking basic in this episode, and he's talking about how he very much supported the war, but you kind of look in this guy's face, and he's not real happy either way, and you're wondering who actually killed this guy, because right now we just see it as a heart attack, but we're going to find out a little bit later that it was something else, that it was actually murder. And this next episode, there's DG in the background. Check out his moon boots and everything. His outfit is the best. And this picture actually has a bunch of funny things in it. The Bith here remind me of way back when the Rebel Force Radio, they were doing their declassifieds. Have you ever listened to those?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Jimmy Mac's so funny sometimes. I want to give that guy a shout out. I will definitely endorse them anytime. Because I'm a long-time listener of the show, but he comes off and he's like, well, what are the Bith doing there? What are they there to play taps? And I just lost it. I thought that was so darn funny, but There, aside from the Biff being there and Mon Mothma and DG, DG's actually at this funeral. You know, even though he opposed Anaconda. But there is another mystery right here. What is wrong with this picture? I'm going to ask you. I want to see if you can find out. Do you see anything wrong with this picture?
Not offhand, no.
All right. Well, it's Senator Karras. What's Senator Karras doing there? He's already dead.
Is he the one?
He's the Grand. Yeah, he's the Grand. He's the one that had
with Jar Jar.
Yeah, he was with Jar Jar, and he was the one that perished in the wreck. And he had the Staff of Ra, right? The Staff of Unknown Origin.
Yeah.
What's he doing there? I even looked in the order and everything of all these.
He should have been there, huh?
Yeah, I don't think he should have been there. And I'm guessing maybe they just used him as filler or whatever. But
yeah.
Dudes, you should have changed his outfit or something, because that's Senator Karras back from the dead, or he's like a Force ghost or something. But there you go. That's an interesting. This is definitely an interesting photo. And here's Padme with Lolo, and she was kind of like a representative of, or kind of his protege, right?
Yeah.
His protege. And check these dudes out. This is kind of our first. This is like a little tip and trick that I'd like to offer up to everybody, because I really only have one custom tonight, folks. Unfortunately, I just didn't really get the ones done that I wanted to get done. But check out those their Senate guards, and they look a little bit different than the ones we've seen previously. They actually have a cape, and that feather plume is back. And check that out there. If you can see that artwork, this is kind of some of the concept art. And what they did was they put the feather plume back on, and then they gave it a really interesting paint job, but they also gave it a cape, right? And I'm going to jump out of my screen captures here real quick. And I just thought I'd offer this up. Check that out. Do you know what that is there? That cape?
Is that the Lando cape?
It's the Ventress dress.
Oh, nice.
And all you really need to do, folks, if you have an extra one of these, is just basically pop the head off, throw the dress on it, around his neck, and then even if you want to take it a step further, I have an extra Senate guard head from the vintage collection. And those were definitely pretty hard to get, right? But he has that, he has that feather plume on the side of the head, right? So what you can do, if you want to make just a quick custom, you can take this guy, put the cape on, maybe cut it off a little bit on one side, and then add that feather plume, and there you have a Senate guard to see Anaconda far off to the promised land. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you can just find little things here and there that just make your character. You can just make kit bashes, which is just basically switching out parts. Sometimes you don't even need to make a custom. You don't even need to sculpt or repaint or anything. Sometimes you can just get it done real fast with just existing parts. So I just thought I'd share that real quick, and we will go back to sharing the concept art, and we'll move along to this guy. And this is going to lead us into my custom of the night, my one custom of the night. This is to Detective Tan Devo. And here's a little trivia for you. Do you know or recognize his voice?
I do not.
It is done by Tom Kenny. Do you know who Tom Kenny is?
No.
He's this guy, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, I have very little exposure to SpongeBob.
Yeah,
I
but
think I've only seen one episode my entire life.
Yeah, but I thought he played this guy really cool. This was kind of like your Columbo. I don't know, what would you say? He was kind of not so much a Columbo, but more of like a kind of a detective, a worthless detective, right?
Yeah.
Every time yeah, go ahead.
Whatever he figured out, it wasn't really because of anything that any leads he had or anything.
Yeah, we see him a couple times, and every single time that he's on this show, he's useless basically. He's the local law. He's the local law enforcement, the security of the Senate detective, and he really botches this thing up. So
Big ego, small intellect.
Yeah, right. I think he's modeled after a couple different characters, but I just knew him as the egghead detective. I really adore this guy, to be honest. I think he's so cool. And that's going to lead us into my first custom that I did ages ago, back in 2010, and that is Tan Devo. And there he is. I was cracking jokes there, but I thought I'd share a couple more shots of him. Couple things that I used to make this guy. Let's see. I used the arms here were G.I. Joe arms, but the hands actually were the gloved hands of the Obi-Wan, the snow outfit Obi-Wan. And the body, if you don't know what that is, it's actually the snow outfit Anakin with the Mando legs, the Mandalorian guard legs, not the good ones, not the Mando, but what's the security guard, or what's
the guy with the shield that had 42 or something written on it.
Right. So basically, though, that's what made up the body, and then all these different parts here are just added elements. These were actually straps from the X-Wing pilot, Luke Skywalker, his leg straps. I used different things back then, way back then. And then all these little parts are just added elements here. Even gave him a gun for his holster. And the head, I don't know if you can guess the head or not, but his head is made from a Jansen, an extra Jansen head. And this is what I was saying. It's a little bit rough because I wasn't using the Dremel as much back then to sculpt and whatnot. I was actually hard sculpting and using kind of an X-Acto knife. So he's a little rough, but I think he turned out cool in the end. I'd like to make him again because I didn't keep him, of course. I sold him off to somebody. What's that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I sold him off a long time ago. There's other people who are fans of Tan Devo as well. I love the weird ones. I think that's why I'm doing this, mostly. How about you? I just love
I like the characters a lot.
Yeah,
where they keep me. There's so many in Clone Wars that keep you busy, and they're fun to do, and they look great when they're done, sitting along everybody else. And yeah,
I agree.
There's a lot of quirky.
I agree.
That's the best part of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I agree. Just the weirdos. Or I'm a weirdo making weirdos.
Yeah.
So here we see DG and Bertoni, and we'll go back to those, the story a little bit. And they basically said they had Ontakandafar followed because they're always trying to dig up dirt on him, basically. So they saw him down at the dock having some kind of late night dealing or something. So Padme and Bail go down there per this guy's advice. And there's somebody else down there messing with them. This assailant is shooting at them and dropping cargo crates on them, and they get in a whole bunch of trouble. And the assailant is up there firing at Padme. And it's been a while since we've seen that outfit, huh?
Yeah,
that's probably the best Padme figure, I think.
Yeah, those elbows on that figure are nice because they have a pin on each end, so you could basically add articulation more easily.
Use them for a couple different places or purposes, right?
Yeah, I made the Ione Marcy from that figure.
Very cool. Very cool. So here we see this botched attempt to figure out what was going on down there, because here comes the detective. And who do we spot down there? Punziga. There he is again. It's like somebody else is down there getting into trouble, right? I think there was a Nick too.
That we could show how often he was used. Now he's in almost every episode, and he's the biggest unsung hero.
He sure is. He sure is. I didn't share the custom that I made because I've shared it so many times. We'll get into some more episodes where we see him again, but I don't know. I think I've lost count at this point. There he is. He's definitely awesome alien filler. So they tell the detective that DG told him to go down there, and they were like, well, maybe he's the guilty party. And they go back to DG's office before he leaves, and they find out that he has been stabbed. So now there's 2 murders, and they're wondering what the heck is going on here. SpongeBob back there basically says that he has to file another report. And so we find out in the end, and this is going to bring us to the end of it, that somebody was trying to frame the Kaminoan lady. What was her name again?
Lolo. Right?
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, Holly Bertoni. Yeah. And she was framed by Lolo, but instead of going with the case that Tandivo had developed, excuse me, Padme realized that Lolo would definitely be sick, and she probably would have died also if she drank, but she realized she didn't drink. So here comes Lolo, and she wonders why Lolo did this. And everybody's actually wondering at this point why she did this. Do you remember what her motive was?
I think it was something to do with Uncle Ano trying to make peace, and she didn't like that he was making peace with the people that he was working with, and she took it as him being a traitor, and it was more revenge based.
Yeah, it was basically, it was partially that, but it was more about the fact that he thought he was going to go with the separatists.
Yeah.
And then he changed his mind. And she basically says, you brought war to my world. So, yeah. And I love this. Right when she takes Padme hostage, we get a smile on Palpatine's face, because he's like, finally, she's going to get blown away.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love that, because he's just happy as all get out. And here again, there's Orn Frita putting his hands up, his 3-fingered hands. Yeah. So strange. He's an oddity, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the cowardly senator in this.
Yeah. So Tandivo basically distracts Lolo, and Padme gives her a right hook, knocks her out. And in the end, politics basically win, and Palpatine is telling her this, and basically saying, you're never gonna be able to put your point of view where exactly where you want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was that episode.
Yeah, it was a short and sweet one tonight. I showed
Yeah.
my Palpatine in the last 2 episodes, so if you want to see him, he's in my bubble forward at my profile.
Yeah, we won't always have just a ton of things on our episodes, but definitely check back with us and definitely support us. We love all the support we've been getting so far. Here we are, 28 episodes in, and we are just going to be doing this entire series, and we have lots of awesome customs on the way in the future. So if you want to find me when we're not on the show, I'm at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations on Facebook, and you can also find me on Clone Wars Custom Action Figures. I also have an Instagram, and that's going very well. I've been posting a bunch of new photos of my custom works, and that's at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Figures. Where can we find you when you're not on the show, Darth Daddy?
You can locate me at Customs for the Kid blog. From there, you could check us out on Facebook, our YouTube channel, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram as well, and Google Plus, and Pinterest.
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah, until next week. What's the next episode that we have?
Next week. Good question. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. What's that?
It might be Bounty Hunter this time.
Might be which one?
Bounty Hunters? I
don't know if it is. No, it's you know what it is. Next week is Cat and Mouse. If you are actually wanting
the first episode,
to follow it in order. We talked about this on an episode, like one of the first episodes that we did. We talked about this. Go ahead and watch. We encourage you to go back onto Netflix and watch Clone Wars. It is such a fantastic show. If you've never seen it, it's currently on Netflix right now, or if you have a Star Wars nut in your life, I'm sure they have it. Borrow it from them and watch Cat and Mouse, Hidden Enemy, the Clone Wars theatrical release in order. And it kind of gives you this really fantastic arc of how the Clone Wars all started. And we're going to be talking about that episode next week. So essentially, it's the first episode of the Clone Wars. So we'll have some insights on why that's so cool next week. So that's Cat and Mouse. Yep, next week for sure. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, and we will see you next time.
May the Force be with you.